Blog Talk Radio.
Raw living is a state of mind, a way of being in alignment with your body. Raw living means you put yourself and your body first. Your host, Sidhu-Robb, is the founder of Nosh Detox, located in the UK. They offer innovative raw food smoothies sold across Europe. You experience it in your skin, your body, and your mind. And now it's time for Living Raw Radio.
Hello everybody, happy Thursday and welcome to Living Raw Radio. My name is Naomi Mead. I am the nutritionist here at Nosh Detox and I'm filling in today for your usual host, Sidhu-Robb. Okay, so today we're really excited to introduce a very exciting guest. His name is Arvind Devalia, and Arvind is an author. He's a self-published author, coach and inspirational speaker, and he's written a book titled Get the Life You Love and Live It, which is a really inspirational book. It's a powerful guide to creating and living the life you have dreamed of. And I would really like to just introduce Arvind straight away. He's going to give a little bit of background about himself, and we're going to find out more about him, about this book of his. And yeah, so Arvind, are you here?
Yes, I'm here, Naomi. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Arvind. How are you? And thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. It's a beautiful day in London. I'm not sure where you are, but right now in London, the sun is shining.
It's a beautiful day, it is.
Spring has arrived finally, after about 8 months of winter, so it's looking
I know,
good.
it's been a long, long winter. Okay, fantastic, Arvind. Well, what I'd like to do, really, to start with, is if you could just give us a bit of an introduction, a little bit about yourself, and then we can discuss your books further. So, please do introduce yourself to us all.
Yeah, so before I tell you more about the book, a bit more about me really. I'm a coach based in central London. I do a lot of life coaching. Got a very popular blog as well, so I'm a blogger. And I published a few books. The book we're going to be talking about is Get the Life You Love. That was my second book, published 7 years back. Since then, I published a few more. And currently, I've got 10 books up on Kindle. And if I just go back a bit, before I got into the world of self-growth, personal development,
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, so I worked for many years in the world of IT and marketing. And when I look back, I sort of often wonder how quickly I've come and how far I've come. Because I remember I was very hyped up, stressed out, very manic actually. And now I'd like to think I'm much more calmer, I'm a much more humane, and I'd like to think a much kinder human being compared to what I used to be. Yeah.
So what was your background? When you were very stressed and high-powered, what were you doing then, Arvind?
I was working in a bank for a while.
Okay.
In an IT section of a bank, and then I did a bit of food marketing as well with a couple of ethnic food companies. And then during the dot-com boom, some friends and I, we got involved in a dot-com startup, and I ended up working about 20-hour days, which was crazy.
Wow.
And we did it for about 9 months. We did all become paper millionaires. A huge corporate invested almost £5 million in our company, but as was a done thing in those days, we spent it very quickly, and in the end we went bust like many other dot-com companies. And about this time, my life changed quite dramatically. In the year 2000, I went to a school in South India called Nirvana School at a place called Pondicherry. Nowadays, everyone seems to know what Pondicherry is and where it is, thanks to the movie and the book Life of Pi. But Pondicherry was really a really turning point for me, because I spent over a month at this charity school teaching children, playing with children, and sort of doing things which I had never done otherwise.
Okay, what inspired you to go out there in the first place then?
I was going through some life changes at that time, and it seemed a good idea to take some time out from my normal life. And a friend's mother had started this charity school, and I was able to really spend a month out there. And it was just absolutely amazing being with kids who had very little, but who were so much happier than I ever was myself. And a couple of interesting things happened there. I visited an orphanage, and I experienced what I call my first ever experience of unconditional love. Literally just being, and being around people who were just very happy. They had very little, but yet they had so much more. And that was a real sort of game changer for me. That completely changed my life after that. So when I got back, I worked a bit more in a dot-com IT company, and then I discovered life coaching. And then it became,
you came back and you went back to your day job. You went back.
Yes. And then eventually, when I got made redundant from that job, I ended up looking for something what I really wanted to do. So I took some time out. I was able to financially take some time out for a couple of months. And at that point, I discovered life coaching. And the rest is history, as I say. I did my training and got my first few clients. And then somewhere along the way, I got a column in my local newspaper. And the articles I wrote in the first few weeks and the first few months actually became my first book eventually.
Okay, so your first book was titled Get a Life.
That's right. And in fact,
and what year did that come out?
That was 10 years ago now. It's 2003. Yes. So Get a Life is actually, that's how I met Geeta in the first place. She and I were introduced by our editor. We were working with the same book editor. Geeta was working on her first book, and I was working on my first book.
Okay,
and the very wise editor decided to put us two together because she thought we might have some synergies, and we've been good friends for the last 10 years now.
Yes, we were talking about you earlier, and she said you were a big inspiration when she was writing her first book.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So your second book, which we're going to be talking about more today, Get the Life You Love, is that a book that you built on from your first one? Yeah,
the first book was quite in the face, really, with the title like Get a Life. I was told by some readers that they hated being seen reading that book on the train, for example. They didn't want to be seen to be someone who needed to get a life. So I got I sort of sat down with an editor and we worked out a new title and Get the Life You Love, which seems much more sort of grounded and much more welcoming in a way.
Gentle, maybe.
Yeah, much more gentle, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Get a Life then became Get the Life You Love. And Get the Life You Love is a much more in-depth book. I spent 6 months of that summer, 2005, writing the book. I spent a lot of time in greenery and in Regent's Park. And basically, I went through the original book and completely rewrote it. And it's got about 5 times as much content. A lot of the exercises are very similar.
Okay,
but it's really much more resonant.
Who would you say would buy your book?
I think it's a great introduction to coaching for someone who's never actually done anything what's called self-development or personal development. It's a great introduction to actually sitting down and doing some exercises. The book's got 25 simple chapters. I say chapters. Each chapter is only 2 pages long, and that's followed by 2 pages of exercises. And the 25 chapters really take someone into all different areas of their life: relationships, work, health, and so on.
Okay, so would you say it's suitable for beginners, as as it
I would
were?
say it's definitely suitable for beginners, but also people who read a lot of different books. People ask me what's different about my book, and I said, to be absolutely honest with you, there's nothing different about my book compared to thousands of similar books out there, except there's two things which I'd like to point out. It's a playbook. It's not a book you read and forget about. It's a playbook in the sense that I invite people to pick up the book and treat it like a fun thing. So there are a number of exercises in there, so it becomes a playbook. And secondly,
so you're saying you don't need to read it from cover to cover, you can dip in and out of it.
Each short chapter is actually freestanding, so you can start at any chapter and work your way through it.
Yeah.
And the other major difference between this book and the many books out there is I'm actually sharing a lot of my own personal journey in it. So I'm saying to people that this is where I messed up, this is what worked for me, so why don't you try this as well? It's not another book that just tells you how to go and do things. And I've had some amazing feedback over the years from readers who picked up the book because they feel that they know me inside out just by having read the book.
Okay, I'd love to hear a bit more about sort of testimonials and whether you've had people come back to you after having read the book and what feedback they've given you.
I mean, 1 or 2 examples of this stick out. There was a lady who got in touch with me on Facebook, as it is, a couple of years back. I didn't know who she was, and she just emailed me out of the blue saying that she got the book a couple of years before, and at the time she was stuck in a job which she really hated, and she got my book, and she was a hairdresser, and basically hairdressing and fashion was a real passion. So she went out and got a hairdressing qualification, and then she traveled the world on a cruise. So basically she got a job out on a cruise ship, and she was out there for about 2 years, and she saw most of the world during that time in the last 2 years. Now she's happily back home in, I think it's a place called Fife in Scotland, and she's now settled down, as in she's in a relationship now, and she's living with someone, and she's very happy that she had that chance to do what she did, and she now got her own salon, so it worked out really well for her. I mean, obviously she did a lot of work herself. I mean, I'm not saying everything came from the book, but she got a lot of inspiration to start with in the first place from the book.
That must be so nice to hear.
It's always nice to hear. It makes it all worthwhile.
Of course.
Sometimes you wonder whether people do actually read the book and whether there's any difference being made in their lives as a result. And
I think, am I correct in saying that the book is built upon sort of 25 steps?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So steps or chapters, I can call them steps.
And these are what you're saying are freestanding. So
that's correct. Yeah. Kind of steps can be misleading because it implies that you have to follow each step one by the other.
You have to do one to get to the next. Yeah.
And each chapter really is freestanding. So if someone was to start at step 1, it would actually really help them go through life in a sort of logical manner. So, for example, the first step in the book or the chapter is called Create an Inspiring Vision for Your Life. And the next one is Clarify Your Values. And the next one is Find Your Life Purpose. So there is a logical sequence, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the reader has to follow that sequence. So,
and
for example,
are you giving the reader practical exercises of what to do?
Exactly. I think that's really the most powerful part of the book, actually. So if I just pick one chapter randomly.
Yeah, please give an example,
So let's say, for example, there's a chapter 6 or step 6. It's about building up your self-esteem. So there's an exercise in there is to write down up to 20 things you have achieved in your lifetime. And what I found was that a lot of people who think they've got self-esteem challenges, actually, when they sit down and realize how much they've done and what they're capable of, it changes their viewpoint completely. So they get an insight almost instantly that actually there's a lot more going for myself than I thought I had. So simple things. I mean, on the face of it, it does seem like a very simple exercise, but it has a powerful impact on the person reading it, because they realize that there's much more going for them than they thought, or they were led to believe by others. Related question, yeah.
When you wrote the book, did you have a very clear-cut plan in advance of writing it, what these steps were, or did this evolve as you were writing it? I mean, were
definitely
you learning?
Evolved. Yeah, definitely evolved. So the first book, Get a Life, was based on my newspaper column articles, and I had about 15, 16 articles at that time. So October 2003, I had the idea of writing this book, and I thought I must get it out by Christmas this year, so which gave me about 7-8 weeks to do it. So as I started writing and putting this book together, I got in touch with this editor, Joe Parfit, the one who connected me with Gita. So I gave her the first draft, and as we worked through it, I realized there were bits missing. So I kept writing in more chapters, and it's meant to be 18 chapters, and then became 20, then became 22, and in the end, I got it up to 25, and it felt really right then to have a round number like that, 25. And Jo was brilliant. I mean, she gave me a lot of feedback along the way, and I challenged her, actually, and I said, look, Christmas is 6-7 weeks away, and I would like to get this book in the shops by Christmas, and so our target was to get the book ready by the end of November. And right now, by this time, it was the end of October. So she luckily accepted my challenge, and we made it happen in the end.
Fantastic.
I had the book I had the physical copy of the first book in my hands on the 30th of November.
That must have been an exciting day.
Absolutely amazing. The printers worked really well with me as well. So they were up in the Midlands somewhere in Northampton. So they made a special journey to King's Cross to meet me at King's Cross with a physical copy, the first box really. And it was absolutely amazing to get that. So that feeling of having your own book in your own hands after just 5-6 weeks, less than 5-6 weeks, was just amazing, just magical.
Amazing, yeah, I bet.
And luckily for me, we managed to sell almost all 2,000 copies within a year, because I had a print run of 2,000. I actually wanted more, but at that time they only had paper for 2,000 copies. So I said, well, 2,000 it is. And a year later, we sold them all, which then led to the current book, the new version of It, Get the Life You Love.
Fantastic. And how many copies have you sold to date? Do you know?
About 8,000, I would say, because now for the last few years I've got it set up on Amazon as what's called print on demand. So
okay.
it gets automatically.
Is it available as a online version as well, Kindle version?
Yes, Kindle version as well. And last November I did a lot of promotion for the book, and it became a Kindle bestseller in its category. So if anyone goes to Amazon now, they'll see the book with a little logo at the top right-hand corner which says Amazon bestseller. So a lot of people have bought the book on Kindle, but because of the nature of the book, which requires people to write things down, I noticed that
it's quite nice to be able to note.
That's right.
Yeah, scribble in the columns and post-it notes, and one of those books, isn't it?
Exactly, and as a result, the paperback sales have gone up quite dramatically in the last few months, because the Kindle book's doing quite well. So I'm expecting, I reckon what people are doing is getting the Kindle version, then they need the hard copy, so they order the hard copy.
Fantastic. Yeah, because it's a workbook by the sounds of it. It's something you want to keep going back into and adding to.
It's a workbook, but I prefer to call it a playbook, because there's no work.
Yeah, that's nice.
Like people think about it as a playbook, yeah.
Okay, great, Arvind. Well, we're just going to take a short break for a couple of minutes, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the content of the book,
sure.
and your inspiration behind it. So we'll just take a short break. We will see you all in a few minutes.
Excellent.
bloated? Is your energy levels really low? Do you find everything that you eat goes straight to fat? My name is Candice, and I am the naturopathic nutritionist at Nosh Detox. I'm here to tell you that your body needs a rest. If that sounds like you are ready to try a Nosh juice fast. A juice fast is the most natural way for your body to detox. while providing you all the life-saving minerals and vitamins that your body needs and craves. From beginners to advanced juices, we have all the options that may be available to you or suited to you. Call me on 0845 257 6674 or go to noshdetox.com and click on the right program for you. I'm right here to help you and support you. Thank you.
Nosh Detox is an award-winning company for your ultimate health improvement. Nosh Detox system works on all areas of the body, having dealt with thousands of clients whose health dramatically improved within days. For more details, visit noshdetox.com. noshdetox.com.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Living Raw Radio. My name is Naomi Mead and today I have a guest with me, Arvind Devalia, and we're talking with Arvind today about his book, Get the Life You Love and Live It. Welcome back, Arvind. Are you with us still?
Hi, yes, still, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, Arvind, so I just want to talk a little bit more about the book and the content of the book. Now, in your books, you talk a lot about giving to receive. So if you can just talk a little bit about what you mean by this, how you use this philosophy in your life, and how you discuss this and how others can do the same.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think giving to receive is all about doing things for other people without any expectations of anything in return. But inevitably, the way the world works is that you always get a lot more back. I can give you lots of examples about in my own life when I've done something for someone and it's come back to me so much more to return. But I think the key
can you think of a specific example for us? It'd be really nice to hear. Now
you put me on the spot, so I'll give you an example.
Sorry.
Yeah. So I gave someone one of my books once as a gift, and they were I knew they weren't going through a great time, and then suddenly they referred me to someone else, and this person so far has bought 28 copies of the book from me because he loved it so much. The initial gift of mine to him of a book, he's now been buying so many books from me because he wants to give it to other people as a gift. And so far he's bought 28 copies in the last few months. And then the ripple effect is amazing. Some of the people who he's given the book to has gone on and bought more books from me on the website, or they're signed up to my blog, and then one of them's become a coaching client. So all from that initial little gift, it's like so much more comes back. And it's like amazing. I think our people who are listening, I would say try it. Even a little simple thing like talking to, say, the Big Issue guy, the people who sell the Big Issue magazines outside train stations, and just talking to them, even acknowledging their presence alone makes a big difference to them.
Absolutely. And do you find when people read your book, they then have a lot of further questions that they then come back to you?
Yes. So they do. They do come back to me quite often, and then they usually go to the blog, actually. I've got almost 600 articles on the blog.
I've had a look at your blog. It's really, really extensive.
580 articles as of yesterday, so it's growing, and it's taken me a few years to build it. But what I've done is it's like an extension of the book. What's in the book? There's lots more on the blog itself. I think one of the key teachings around this giving and receiving is that we all have a choice in how we behave towards others. We can either be generous, considerate, and caring to the people around us, or we can be selfish, self-centered, and always putting our own interests first. And I think if you are coming from a space of giving, you will actually get so much more back. And little things, like looking for ways of helping people. Like if you see someone lost, or someone who's clearly looking for directions, looking at a map, just by asking them if they were lost, it's really amazing what happens. It happened to me a couple of years back, absolutely true story. So I was in St. John's Wood, which is my area, and I saw this middle-aged couple who were looking kind of lost, and it was a nice sunny afternoon, sunny evening. So I asked them if they were okay and did they need any help, and turned out they were an Australian couple just come over that day from Europe on their European trip. And they were looking for what they thought would be nice English pubs. So I said, well, the nearest one is here. Like, if you like, I can take you because I'm walking that way. So along the way, we became friends. We chatted for 5 minutes. That's how long it took to get there. And then when we got there, they insisted on buying me a drink, and I hardly drink. So that evening, I sort of said, okay, I'll have a drink with you guys. I had a quick drink with them, and then I bought them a drink. And then by the end of half an hour later, like best of friends.
Lovely.
And they were going to be staying in London for another few days. So I said, look, I've got a great idea. You guys are Aussies and you love your outdoors. Why don't you guys come to my place for a barbecue? So the next evening they came, sure enough, and I invited a couple of other friends, and we had the most amazing evening. Wow. And they become really good friends. Mario and Marie, they're listening to this, and they're visiting Europe again this summer. So they already emailed me to say, look, we must meet up, and we'd like to take you out for dinner after all your kindness last time, and so on. The little thing by me just offering to help them.
Little thing, and you could easily just walk past normal London mentality. Let them fend for themselves.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether you were in London last summer during the Olympics, but that was, to me, the best time in London ever. Incredible. We became human beings for a couple of weeks, and during the Paralympics, so for a few weeks, 3-4 weeks, we were human beings again. People were smiling at each other, they were acknowledging each other, we were talking to each other on the train.
I think that's such a fantastic example. Yeah. I mean, that was just a very, very special time, actually, wasn't it? I mean,
people, my friends who know me, they're amazed at how easily I go and talk to everyone. I just go and talk to everyone and anyone. I've got no qualms or reservations. But it's just like coming from a place of wanting to be helpful, and people get that. And I was in
Has that always been your personality? I mean,
I've trained myself.
Is that something that's evolved as well?
I would say I evolved. I mean, the same friends, when I'm telling them that once I used to be very shy at one time, they don't believe it, because I was very shy at one time, but over the years I sort of coached myself not to be, and I think the key thing is that most people are so much into themselves that they're not even thinking about what you think. Something I read a while back is that you should never worry about what other people think about you, because they're always worrying about what you think about them. So if you appreciate that, then you know that it's okay to be yourself. And I think one of the biggest things that takes quite a lot of strength.
I mean, it's quite easy to say that, but it's quite hard, isn't it, in practice to actually not care what other people think.
Yeah, I think it comes back to about being authentic, and also being grounded in yourself and knowing who you are and what you are. I think that comes from that space. But I sort of learned if you are authentic and being genuinely you, people get that. They don't worry about what you look like, what you're wearing. But if you're speaking from the heart, people do really get that. So if you probably attended speakers or heard speakers who sort of been speaking very authentically on stage, for example, and you really get them, and you can almost feel the electric atmosphere in the room, because people are really connected at a heart level. Other times you might have spoken to someone and you just know that it doesn't quite resonate with you, because they're not really being who they say they are. Yeah. And I think intuitively we just always know when someone's being themselves or being authentic, being honest, or if they're putting it on. I think the other thing, which is very related to being authentic, is about being vulnerable. When you are being vulnerable, people also get that as well.
Being vulnerable?
Being vulnerable, being open to being open to showing the real you.
Yeah,
without being fearful about what people might think of you.
Well, I think a lot of people are fearful,
So I can't think of an example right now, but if we sort of look back at someone who's spoken very honestly and from the heart, very authentically, they were there completely raw, completely open, completely vulnerable. And that's what people really like. That's what really connects us with each other. And if somehow we can capture that essence in our day-to-day life, then life becomes very easy. People can't do enough for you then.
I mean, you mentioned Arvind, your trip to India back before you started writing. I mean, would you say that was really a pinnacle event? Was that a really sort of life-changing event for you?
That was very much a life-changing event.
Yeah.
That was 13 years back, and I remember it like yesterday. And I've been involved with the school ever since, a school called Nirvana School.
I was going to say, so are you still working with the same?
I'm involved with them, not so much as I used to be, because now it's developed quite a bit, actually. It's gone from a school with a few kids to now it's got 450 children, The infrastructure is all set up. The infrastructure is in place. The buildings are all done up now. It's come a long way from how it was when I first visited it, which was in 97. So, 15, 16 years ago now. And we come actually full circle because 13 years back, when I first went, there was a little boy there called Elumalai, 14 years old at the time, but he actually looked much younger. So over the years, he's been very helpful to the school, and he stayed with the school. He completed his education, and now he's a teacher at the school, and he virtually manages the whole place himself, along with the lady who founded the school. And this week, it's been a real honor because Elumalai has finally come to visit London after all this time. He's staying at mine for a few days, and he's visiting various schools in London to learn more about schooling from a different aspect. So
Lovely.
To me,
is there going to be connections set up between the school out in Pondicherry and London?
Absolutely.
School?
They already have set up, actually. And finally, going back to my original point about doing something and getting so much more back, one of the very first personal development courses I did 10 years back, I met a lady called Nancy, and Nancy and I connected instantly because she'd done some school work in a school in Nepal, and she's a professional teacher with an American school in London called ASL. So Nancy and I became really good friends, and when I told her about Nirvana School, she said to me that if you ever go, let me know. So a few years back, I was going, and I invited Nancy to come with me, and then before I knew it, she'd asked a few other teachers in the school, ASL, and 6 teachers came with me. This was in February 2005. So as a result of that simple conversation with Nancy, every year since then, so that's 8 times now, 6 teachers from ASL have gone to Nirvana School.
All have gone out there.
Yeah, so every February we have a trip for 1 week of 6 ASL teachers go to Nirvana School, and that's been a real life changer for the school and for the kids at the school because we brought so much more to the school.
I bet. What do the teachers do when they go out there? Are they then educating the teachers out there? And...
Both really, educating the teachers there, bringing in new sort of latest techniques and just bringing in a different aspect. And it's a two-way thing because the teachers from ASL, from the London school, they get so much more back as well.
I was going to say there's so much they can probably learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those miraculous things. And earlier on, I couldn't really think of a really good example, but that's a really good example of how one little simple thing I did just by inviting Nancy to come to the Indian school. It's been a massive sort of shift. The Nirvana School has come a long way. I mean, a lot of things would have happened anyway, but the contribution from the ASL teachers has been absolutely amazing, absolutely immense. And this week, so Elumalai is the boy, I say boy because he always seems a boy to me.
Yeah,
the guy from Nirvana School, he's actually spending some time at ASL learning from the other aspect. So, and the funniest thing is all the kids at the London school, ASL, they've known about this teacher coming over and they've been treating him like a hero. And it's been absolutely amazing, you know. It's one of those things which you really got to sort of see and understand how much it means to him. And here's this guy who's taken this opportunity and he's now able to travel, I wouldn't say halfway around the world, but he's traveled. He never left India before. He's never flown before. And
wow,
really,
how's he coping with London? He's got London in a very
amazing.
lovely...
He's loving it. And for me, it's been great to see London from his eyes, because little things like he asked me, because when he visited me, a lot of my rooms had all my lights on and everything, so he said, well, do you not ever worry about power cuts? Simple things like that which we take for granted. And
yeah, of course. I
took him to the post office and he was really amazed with the queuing system, that people were queuing up and little things like that which we take for granted.
And it makes you appreciate exactly all of those things as well.
Absolutely, it makes you appreciate, and also it's very humbling actually, because it makes you realise how much we already have.
Absolutely.
And we take so much for granted. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, Arvind. Okay, well, Arvind, I just wanted to kind of go back to your book again.
Yeah, so we went for a tangent, didn't we?
Yeah, that's good. It's been lovely, but I just wanted to go back to your book.
And you talk about
you talk about something in your book called the 3 C's: contribution, connection, and celebration. And I just really wanted to kind of hone in on this, and you know, for you to talk about what you mean by this and how people can use these principles in their lives.
Okay, good, because those are points I mentioned in a couple of places in the book study. The 3 C's, I go through them again. So contribution, connection, and celebration. So if I go through them in that order, so contribution really, it's about doing things for others and, again, not having expectations. So, for example, in my own life, my contribution to the world, to the people around me, through my coaching work and through my writing and my involvement with charities or schools, like Nirvana School, for example. So it's doing something to make a difference to people. And I'm not saying to people that they should also go around and work with a charity school in India or somewhere else. It's about looking for opportunities of doing something in their daily life.
So even the smallest thing.
Yeah, the smallest thing, like giving up your space to someone on the train, for example. I did that the other day, and the lady was just amazed that someone would do that. And I insisted. She was flagging. I could really tell she was really having a tough time standing up, and she was looking really tired. So I insisted, and there was a nice ripple effect actually in the carriage, because everyone smiled, and we had a bit of banter, and people were talking, and it's a bit like the Olympics again, you know. So little things like that. So people who are listening, look for ways of contributing. One of the most popular blog posts on my blog is something called 31 Acts of Random Kindness.
Okay.
So they 31. I made up 31 because it's most months of 31 days. So if someone wanted to, they could go and read that blog post and pick one random act of kindness for each day.
Okay, and that's fantastic. Give me a couple of examples of those.
Sure. So it could be like paying someone's meter. So if you know someone, you're about to park a car and someone behind you is about to park, you can just, before they get a chance, put money in the meter for them. Giving up your seat on the train is another good one.
Yeah.
Giving a banana or something to, say, the big issue person who's standing outside supermarkets, for example. Little things like that, which might be little to us, but it could be a real sort of life changer for someone. It could be something that changes their life completely, because a lot of times people don't expect people to be kind. And when someone
of course.
does,
I think often people are suspicious, aren't they?
Exactly. They do sometimes get funny looks, but hey, that's fine. I mean, not very often, but that's fine. Yeah. And little things like that, showing someone the direction, or buying something, doing something for your neighbor, for example.
Yeah. Okay, so then we go on to connection. So what do you mean by connection?
Connection is it's also a way of contributing to others. It's by connecting people with someone else who might be able to help them. Because I seem to be very well connected, and that's because over the years I've sort of been very helpful to people, and people have been referring other people to me. So if I know someone who, say for example, I'm a plumber, I first used him 10 years back, and in the last 10 years he must have had about 6-7 new clients through me, because he did such a great job for me first time around. I've been very happy to refer him to other people. And it's not even that, because my friends have now referred him to other people. So just from the simple connection I made in the first place has led to much more. And
sure, so it's networking, but not necessarily just on a...
Yeah, but without expecting anything back from that person.
Exactly,
just doing it because people want to be connected. And part of that is also organizing events where people can connect and meet new people. So, for example, every year for the last 10 years, I've been organizing a picnic in my local park, Regent's Park, and I call it my Friends and Friends Picnic. So the idea is I invite all my friends, and then they invite their friends, and so on. And I usually pick the same spot, and being the weather that we have in the last 10 years, I think we've had good weather 3 times out of 10. And we had an amazing time.
Actually.
Yeah. 1 year we had about 400 people, which is normally we get about 100, 150, and we do African drumming and hula hooping, and everyone brings their own food and drinks.
And has that purely grown by word of mouth?
Word of mouth, and thanks to social media nowadays, once I set up an event on Facebook, it really does go. I also put it on Time Out, and I put it on my blog as well. So 1 year I would like to sort of... What do you call it? It's called Friends and Friends Picnic.
Okay, lovely.
And last year, a Facebook friend actually had a Friends Picnic in Dubai. And I know some people have it in the Midlands every year now. And someone had it in Norway last year as well. So it's something that could grow.
Very global.
Yeah, it could go. I mean, the hardest thing for us, people in the UK, London especially, is that the weather can never be reliable. So I can never pick a date in advance. So I usually pick a date 2 weeks in advance, hoping that the weather will be okay. I remember last year, actually the year before, we were completely flooded. Even though we were under the trees, all the picnic stuff, everything got flooded. But we still had about 60, 70 people turn up.
Wow.
And in the entire park, it was just us, because everyone had abandoned it. But that's what it takes, and over the years...
that's gone nicely onto celebration, so that's what you mean by that.
Yeah, and even on the connection piece, I met friends at the picnic myself who were friends in my life from a different sphere, but they come through different people. But I've had people come along and they come through different strands of friends, and they already were friends with each other. So it's absolutely amazing when that happens. It's almost like a network of people all connected somehow or another. And yeah, which again, as you said, brings you to the celebration piece. One of my key aspects of life is that if it's not fun, why do it? And if you're not having fun, then why would you bother? So celebration becomes a big part of it. So always looking for opportunities of way of celebrating life every day. So people listening, as well as carrying out a random act of kindness, they should try and look for a way of celebrating every day. Could be simple thing as having a really nice apple and enjoying it with your partner, or things like that, little simple things, which makes life more enjoyable. Or
and bringing people together, because I think I think people always, not necessarily, but when you're not feeling that great, it's very easy to kind of go within yourself and not want to see people. And I think the importance of people around you, actually, although it might not be exactly what you want to do, it can actually be the best thing you can do for yourself.
Exactly, and we can all celebrate life and appreciate life in so many ways daily. It could be simple things like listening to the birds chirping. I was in my garden earlier on. It's absolutely enthralling to listen to the birds. I mean, I wish I could understand what they were saying, but they were having like an orchestra playing in my back garden. Little things like that. Or,
so, are you positive and happy all the time?
Most of the time. I mean, I have my moments, and I'm a work in progress as well. But the moments when I'm not positive, it's not many, and I wouldn't even say positive or negative. It's just like being content and being happy. So it's like, or being in that neutral space when you're not getting high by something that happens to you, because then that means you're going to get down again, and sort of being in a very steady level.
And how do you think you stay at that? I mean, if you start to identify, if you start to feel that you're not, you're not feeling good, and you could be going down a path that you don't want to do. As a practical step,
for example, I'll give you some examples. Simple questions that people can ask themselves. So, for example, if you're having an argument with a family member or someone, and maybe not an argument, maybe just a disagreement where you both want to be right and you both want to hold on to your entrenched view about how things should be done, a key question to ask is, does this really matter in the scheme of things? Will you even remember this in a few years' time? Will you even remember this disagreement? It's like reminding yourself all the time, does this really matter? And I find just remembering those simple things can really make you realize that actually, it gets you into perspective. And I think if you can laugh about some of the things that we argue about, people listening, I challenge them to look back on an issue they had with someone a few years back and look at it now, and they probably won't remember what the argument was.
And yet it would have seemed so important at the time.
I think it comes back to wanting to be right and wanting to look good. So when people say it is my way or no way, this is where the ego comes in. This is where they want to be seen as right rather than what does it matter really. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. One day we're all going to die, and one day no one's going to remember us anyway. So why not make the most of this point now?
So
why not make the most of our life now?
Do you still do coaching, Arvind? Do you
really
work
what I
with
do
the
all
life
the time
coach?
now. Yeah. I did have a break for a while. I spent a lot of time on my books and blogging and teaching social media training, which I still do to certain clients. But really, recently I sort of got inspired with my coaching again, and I really want to get back to coaching. And I revamped my coaching page in the last few weeks, and the right coaching clients are already showing up because I'm putting it out there. I think I very nearly became a social media expert with a friend, and at the last sort of few days I realized that actually it wasn't really me. This is much more me, being with people, making a difference directly. So coaching is very much my forte.
Fantastic. And Arvind, this came initially from you. You had an idea and you wanted to do this, and you decided that life coaching is something you wanted to go into. And 10 plus years down the line, you've had several very successful books. Very, very extensive, successful blog. You're writing continuously. You're life coaching. I mean, for other people who are sort of getting into life coaching or something similar, I mean, what are your keys? What are your tips to success? What do you think has contributed to your success?
I think you must come from the place of serving. You must come from a place of wanting to make a difference. People can tell when you're doing it for money or whether you think it's a great thing to be doing. And
so genuine passion for
for making a difference to others, genuine interest in people. And I think also you've got to be at a certain space in your own life as well. I know a lot of coaches got into coaching because they needed a lot of coaching themselves, which is great because then at least have that realization, awareness that they want to work on themselves. But I think the more you coach, you get better at it. And also I think you become better yourself as well, in the sense that you learn more about yourself, you become more self-aware. And for anyone getting into coaching, I would say go on your own journey as well, to work on yourself. And maybe work on yourself sounds the wrong thing to say. It's like grow yourself, learn more about yourself, do what you need to do. So people can also tell when you're not walking the talk. So for example, one of my key coaching aspects is coaching people around health and nutrition and teaching people to be healthy. And if I was not healthy myself,
you have a responsibility to stay healthy, of course.
So I'm very healthy, and I do lead a very healthy lifestyle, and my eating habits are great, and all those things that people would expect me to do. But that's where I genuinely come from. One of the things I'll be doing more of now is teaching more about healthy eating. I became a vegan recently, so I can now declare to the world I'm now a vegan, so I can't go back now.
Fantastic. We had a show on veganism the other day. We had a couple of vegans talk.
And already I feel so much better. And it's like I have to be walking the talk. I have to be genuinely doing what I say I'm doing. Otherwise, people will see through it. So I think anyone else going into on the coaching journey, you have to walk the talk and you have to walk the path.
And who have your inspirations been? I mean, have there been any people in particular? Have there been any books that you've read?
So over the years, like most people in personal development, I literally read hundreds of books. And on my bookshelf here, I've got maybe 300 different books, and a lot of them have been given away. I've been giving away over the years. So I do declutter my place. So I give away books, buy new ones, and then give them away. And a friend asked me recently that if I had to get rid of all my books, but I could only keep one, apart from my own books, which one would I keep? So I said to her, well, I'm not so arrogant that I would only keep my own books, but the only book I'd probably keep, I would keep out of all the ones I have, is a book by Marianne Williamson. And it's called,
Williamson?
Yeah, it's called A Return to Love.
To Love.
Yeah, to me, it's the book that really sort of personifies where I am, and it just completely resonates from day one. And this is a book where the famous quotation comes from, which is wrongly attributed to Nelson Mandela, and it's called Our Light. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure, and so on. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. So those words are from Marianne Williamson in that book, Return to Love. And anyone listening, I would say, go and get this book and read it and apply it in your own life.
Okay,
Marianne is very passionate about what she believes in, and the book is based on A Course in Miracles, so it does refer a lot to the Course in Miracles. But at the end of the day, it's all about love or lack of love, which is fear.
And what is her background?
She's a very passionate speaker, international speaker. She's done a lot of work, on A Course in Miracles, and she's she does talks with Chopra and the Dalai Lama, and at that level. So, you just have to type in her name on Amazon, Marianne Williamson. And she also has a website at mariannewilliamson.com.
Okay.
So that's one book I would keep.
Any others you can think of?
A couple of other people. When I first got into my coaching journey, I was also going through a lot of healing at that time through various life changes, which has led me to coaching in the first place. And the book that's helped me the most over the years and also helped a lot of my clients is by Louise Hay, and it's called You Can Heal Your Life. And this is really the first major book that I read, which was all about healing, and this is where I learned about affirmations and attracting what you really want in your life. And this was a real lifesaver for me for about a year. I did a lot of exercises, and I can highly recommend it to people.
Okay, you're not the first person who's recommended that book, actually.
So You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. She has a number of other books as well, but that's her sort of pinnacle. And very amazing lady, actually. She's started this publishing house called Hay House. And through Hay House, lots of other inspirational speakers have published their work as well. So do check out Louise Hay's book.
Okay, fantastic.
Another book, final book I'll mention, is by Nelson Mandela. It's A Long Walk to Freedom. That's a book which is quite a thick book, actually. And I first saw Mr. Mandela at Wembley in 1988. And there was a concert in 1980, I think, to free Nelson Mandela. And then in 1990, he was there himself personally. There was another concert for him, and I was lucky enough to be there.
Wow.
So he's always been my hero, and this book was given to me a while back, and it's one book that I would keep, if I was allowed to keep more than one book, as well as the Marianne Williamson book, I'd keep The Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela.
Well, thank you for sharing with us. That's really, really interesting. Thanks, Arvind. And
really, I was going to say, he's really inspires me because of how he was, despite being put away for 27 years, and how he came out with so much dignity and love. And it's, I just hope he gets really well soon, and he's around for a few more years.
Yeah, well, he seems to be fighting
ailing at the moment.
He's fighting.
He's fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a fighter.
Okay, Arvind. Well, just to round up, I mean, do you have any final words for our listeners today?
I can say a lot more, but I think we're limited in time. But I think there's a quote in the book, actually, which I wanted to share.
Fantastic, please do.
We covered a lot of ground. So this is really how I end the book, and these are my final thoughts on the very last page of the book. So remember that your life counts, and make it count. You're all unique. There's no one like you on this planet, never has been and never will be. So do not sell yourself short. Do not sell the world short. This is your life. Love it, live it. And one life, one chance, grab it. Now go and get the life you love and live it. Those are the very last words from my book. At the back.
Thank you, Arvind. And I think that's a really, really nice way to bring today's show to a close. And just for people who have been listening today, just to be clear, Arvind's book is titled Get the Life You Love and Live It, and that's available on Amazon in hard copy and in Kindle copy, Arvind. That's correct, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. And you mentioned my blog, so I didn't mention the URL.
Yeah, please do.
So the blog is at arvinddevalia.com/blog. So that's Arvind, ARVIND, Devalia, DEVALIA.com and /blog.
Fantastic. And Arvind, people can contact you directly through your website as well, can't they?
They can contact me through my blog. There's a page there which has got a contact page on it, contact box. So I'll be very happy to hear from anyone who's been listening tonight.
Fantastic. Well, Arvind, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
And thank you to our listeners. So this has been Living Raw Radio, and we look forward to seeing you all next Thursday at the same time. So thank you and good evening.